Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the 7 identification signs to see the prominence of Saturn in someone's life. So guys, in this video, we will not be focusing on the astrology terminologies. Like all those people who know astrology, they must be knowing this thing that for Saturn to be in the driving seat of someone's life, there has to be certain flavors of Saturn in your birth details. Like from numerology, 8 is the number ruled by the planet Saturn. So if someone who is born on the 8th of any month, 17th of any month, 26th of any month, then definitely Saturn is going to have a strong say in your life. Or in your birth chart, like your ascendant or your moon sign is either Capricorn or Aquarius, or your Saturn is your Atma Karaka planet with the highest degree, or Saturn is conjunct with your ascendant lord, or your important planets are placed in the nakshatra of the planet Saturn, like Pushya, Anuradha or Uttara Bhadrapada, then those could be the combinations which can put Saturn in the driving seat of your life. But let's say, for example, if you do not have any access to someone's birth chart or birth details, just only monitoring the life of someone from far, how can you say this thing that Saturn is responsible for the success or failure or whatsoever the current state of that person is? So what could be the identification signs? That is something which you will try to understand in this video. Trust me friends, when it comes down to the planet Saturn, I have got a very different and a very intense experience with planet Saturn. Because see, if I were to share my ongoing dasha, so right now I am in the Saturn Mahadasha and the Sun Antardasha. And even if I have to show you the transit as well, my Sun is placed in the Capricorn. So not only Saturn is transiting over my natal Sun, but also in the Dasha cycle, exactly the same component is active right now. Next year, Saturn will transit to my natal Moon in the Aquarius, and I will be in the Dasha of the Saturn Mahadasha and the Moon Antardasha. And not only that, at the time when my Saturn got activated in the Dasha, that was the same time my Saturn return also happened, and that happened in the 8th house of mine. So I can say this thing that I have got a lot to share when it comes down to the planet Saturn. And also guys, definitely when we talk about the functioning of the Saturn, so Saturn is the chief significator of giving us the results of our hard work, results of our karma, because in the original Kalpurush Kundli, Saturn has got the rulership of the 10th house and the 11th house. 10th house is your actions. In a equivalent way, you will be rewarded or you will be punished. And not only that guys, even in the original Kalpurush Kundli, Saturn is the significator of all the houses of hardship, of struggle, of diseases. So that in a way puts Saturn in such a strong state that if you will find Saturn to be afflicted in the chart, if you will find Saturn to be kind of very disgruntled in the life of someone, you can fairly see the impact of that or after effect of that in the overall functioning of the life of that person. When it comes down to these kind of karmic planets like Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, specifically Saturn and Rahu, more than just giving the predictions to your clients or to the people you actually want to help through astrology, counseling them becomes very important. Because in this aspect, I actually want to say over here that a lot many times I have seen that, see, if you want to understand the way astrology gets molded up based on the kind of clientele you are dealing with. Like let's take up the case of a planet responsible for marriage in the chart of a girl. So a lot many astrologers say that Jupiter is the husband in the chart of a girl, and a lot many astrologers say that Mars is the husband in the chart of a girl. But I would say that this theory gets applicable more depending on the kind of people you are dealing with. Like if we take up the case of East, like if you go to any traditional community, let's say for example, let's take up the case of India. So someone who is living in countryside, in small town, in small city, so Jupiter becomes very important because the sustenance of the marriage is not only dependent on your faith, your belief, the love in the relationship, but also tradition, your society, community also plays a very pivotal role over there. I keep on coming across lot many charts where, like, I've seen those cases where the husband is not doing any job, he is an alcoholic, and wife is not only looking after the husband, looking after the complete family, but she's working as a maid, as a domestic help, and taking care of the relationship. And I still remember there was this person, this lady from Europe. She booked her consultation with me, and before getting into the call, she just mailed her details to me, and she wanted the right time for filing for divorce and everything. So when we got into call, I just asked her, I was just probing around that, okay, what exactly is the reason which is driving for this behavior or this outcome, like financial issue, health related issue, any sort of harassment or abuse. She said no, everything is fine. Then I said, okay, then what's the reason? She says love and passion is not there now in the marriage. So that's how, like, how Mars becomes important in the West, and how Jupiter takes the same role when it comes down to the kind of people you are dealing with. Same way, guys, when we talk about the planet Saturn, so a lot many times I keep on coming across those cases where there was this because see, Saturn just wants us to be patient. Like, and imagine you are, let's take up the case of marriage again. Now someone who has got a Cancer Lagna, and this person has got Saturn Dasha, which is right now active, and this person is not responsible or kind of mature enough to handle the responsibility which comes with a marriage. Now just because driven by this social obligation that all of the uncles and aunts or relatives are taunting this person, this native, that why you are still single right now, or when people of your same age group have already got married within your community, within your neighborhood, why you're still not able to find someone. So now you have to understand this thing, that astrology does not work like that. Saturn is the planet of maturity, accountability, responsibility, and if you will not do justice to that, if you do not mold your life according to the planetary vibration and principle, it is not gonna give you any good results. And then later on, when marriages do not work, businesses fail, and you find disappointments in all areas of life, then you attach or pin that blame to the planet Saturn, where Saturn has nothing to do on that. Like, guys, in the if I were to summarize Saturn's role in astrology in one line, so like the way Jupiter represents wisdom which can transform us, Mars which represents our courage, our efforts which can transform our life for good or for bad, that is dependent on the Mars's dignity in the chart. Same way, Saturn represents pain, Saturn represents hardship, Saturn represents struggle. Like, the great characters and great leaders are born only after the hardship. Like the way I mentioned my life as well, that I have experienced Saturn in the most intense way. And trust me, when I was going through depression or extreme of the mental anguish, it did not drive me towards drugs or any unethical acts. Rather, it drove me more towards the bhakti or worship of Lord Shiva. And see, that's how it transformed my life. So this is how we have to understand Saturn in the modern context. And I will be chiefly talking on the 7 identification points. So point number 1 is that if you will find someone in whose case this native is struggling in majority of the areas of life, where when we talk about all those events which gives us strong foundation, stability in our life. Now this could be business, this could be finding a job, this could be getting married. So a lot many times it has been seen that if you will find someone to be a victim of exceptional delay in majority of the areas of the life, then that can straight away be attributed to the prominence of Saturn in the life of that person. Like the way, for example, someone who has been has completed his or her studies, and even irrespective of the fact that being highly educated, qualified, this person is still not able to find a job for like 2 years, 3 years, or like you're not being able to get stable or kind of have a consistent source of income. So all of that can also be attributed to the planet Saturn only. Trust me guys, I keep on coming across a lot many cases where within a household there are like 3 or 4 people of like they are qualified, they are completely healthy, but still none of them is able to find a job, and the household income is severely getting afflicted because of that. So when you actually come across someone who is actually facing delays in majority of the areas of the life, that could be attributed to the prominence or fury of the planet Saturn in the life of that native. Also guys, a lot many times people talk about the karmic lesson as well. Now karmic lessons can also be attributed to the planet Saturn. Now this is getting more applicable in the Eastern context, like the way, for example, like as a consultant I keep on coming across these consultations, like someone who cheated on his partner and later on he received the similar kind of treatment, or someone who were very unfair or very mean to their old parents, and the same people got very badly treated by their own children. So somehow karmic lessons also be faced, and that can be attributed to the prominence or fury of the planet Saturn in the life of the native. So the first identification point was exceptional and severe delays and karmic lessons. Now friends, identification point number 2 is observing the influence of the people who represents the energy of that planet in the life of the native. So definitely when we talk about which all people represent Saturn in our life, so chiefly that is being represented by our paternal uncles. Now guys, irony is that Saturn, which also represents along with Mars paternal property, all sort of inheritances, and in lot many families you will see that the major reason for the property related dispute is with the paternal uncles. And so that could be one of the identification sign to look at if you actually come across someone facing major crisis in the life, major delays in the life, agony, delays, depression. Just start probing around these significating elements, like okay, so how is your relationship with your paternal uncles? That could be one sign to give attention to. Second thing is that guys, a lot many times, because Saturn also represents all those impoverished and downtrodden people, and which in a way becomes very important for all those people who have got their own business. So like what kind of relationship you hold with the labor? Like are you kind of in a business where you're not able to retain the labor for a long span of time, or you always get cheated by people who work under you, or the cases of theft or robbery by your own employees within your company, within your organization, in your business. So through this we can get to know about the prominence or impact of Saturn in someone's life. Now guys, identification sign number 3 is monitoring the health of the native. Because guys, if you remember at the time when we were having our discussion on Rahu, I mentioned this thing over there, that Rahu is chiefly responsible for the undiagnosed diseases. You come across someone who is complaining that irrespective of suffering such a great deal, after getting himself examined by the best doctors, he's still not able to figure out the reason for his sickness. So you can definitely connect that with the problem created by the nodes. But when we talk about Saturn, so how much we will live, that is being controlled by the planet Saturn, because Saturn rules over age and longevity. But over and above that, Saturn is also responsible for the chronic health related issues as well. Guys, when we talk about the hereditary problems, for that we have to give attention to the ascendant lord, Saturn and Venus as well. But stand alone, when we talk about someone who is suffering for or from any of the major disease for a very long span of time, so that could be attributed to the prominence or affliction of the Saturn in the life of that person. After that guys, when we talk about the point number 4, which has to do with the spirituality. Now understand this thing, when we talk about religion or religious austerities, for that we give attention to the planet Jupiter and Ketu. But when we talk about like all the yogi, all the spiritual seers, all of them come in the control or in the influence of the planet Saturn. Guys, when we talk about conscious awareness, when we talk about the talks on the soul and transcendental awareness, all of that looks very fancy on surface, but more than the religion, the path of spirituality demands strict discipline, lot of sacrifice and complete renunciation. And only if you have a strong Saturn or Saturnian energy is supporting you, only then you can progress in that path. So definitely when we come across, like, okay, when we even talk about people holding some sort of religious authority or spiritual authority, so a religiously dominated person will talk more on the lines of the religious doctrines, but someone who is very spiritually driven, that person will just talk about beyond your body and mind, completely attuned to your soul. So this could be also seen as a identification sign of the prominence of Saturn in someone's life. Now, whether if this person is talking like this as a guru from a place of spiritual importance, title or designation, or whether someone who is a active and avid talker, listener or enthusiast in the topics of the body, mind and soul, so definitely that is a fair indication of the prominence of Saturn in the life of that person. After that, guys, point number 5, identification sign number 5 is about the career. Now it hardly matters which planet has got the rulership over your 10,000 astrology chart, or which planet becomes your Amatya Karaka, or which planet is strongly placed in the D10 chart. Stand alone, individually, Saturn is the planet which is responsible for all of our career. So any of the major accomplishment, any of the major setback, delays are attributed to the planet Saturn. So let me simplify it. Like when we come across all those cases where someone who has rose to such a prominent level that he is influencing the whole world, he is influencing the masses. Or let's say, for example, someone who has inherited a very small shop from his family, in a family business, and that person with his diligence, with his consistent hard work, he actually transformed it into a multi-million business. Or like all those people who have gone through a lot of hardship, and now because of their success, they are being seen as a kind of a guiding light or as a role model in that specific field. So all of that is chiefly attached with the planet Saturn. I always say this thing, guys, if you actually want to do something substantially big, for that you need the support of the planet Saturn. If you want to play small, definitely all other benefic planets can grant you all of you that wish. But if you want to do something big, substantial, where you want to influence the world, you need to have a strong Saturn placed in your chart. So definitely, guys, when we talk about these kind of big accomplishments in the life, in someone's career, for that could be a fair indication of Saturnian energy working out in the favor of that native. And guys, a lot many times Saturnian dominated people not only reach the top of their chosen field, whether you talk about politics, you talk about business, but a lot many successful Saturn dominated people are self-made in these sectors as well. So that could be one of the identification sign to give attention to. So guys, in this identification point, it hardly matters whether you are engaged in the fields represented by the planet Saturn or not. Like the way Saturn represents politics, law, mining industry, iron, oil, or current industry, it hardly matters whether you are engaged in these fields or not. What matters is that whether you will be a self-made person, what kind of loyal workforce you will command, and moreover the byproduct, ultimate result or outcome of all of your professional endeavors, like the kind of reputation you hold in your industry, in your field. Because guys, when we talk about imprisonment, like this could be because of the unethical, unlawful engagements, or this could be because of the negligence at the time of performing your duties, because Saturn actually represents all those people who wear uniform. Now this could be a cop, this could be a lawyer, this could be a doctor, and a lot many times we come across that someone who got suspended or someone who got arrested because of any of the negligence done at the time of your duty, of your job profile. So all of that can be attributed to the planet Saturn as well. The heights of someone's career and the ultimate reputation which a person commands is straight away connected with the prominence of Saturn in someone's life. After that, guys, definitely when we have talked about the success, so what you will do with your success, so which gives to the next point, which is the your capacity to serve. Because guys, unless and until Saturnian energy is not strong in someone's life, this person will not have that mindset of sharing his fortune with the unprivileged ones or with the downtrodden ones. So whenever you come across all those people, now guys, here it hardly matters, like there are definitely certain religions, in their religious doctrines serving is put as the chief virtue over there. Here I'm not talking about basis your religion. This has to be a voice of your soul to help people, to be very humble in the face of the peak of your success as well. So if you will come across someone who has this sort of mindset, this sort of public image, so that can also be connected or attributed to the prominence of Saturn in the life of this person. Lastly, guys, when we talk about, definitely every planet has been attached a specific age. So Saturn matures at the age of 36. Now Saturn's age of maturity actually holds a very strong say, because this is the exact time when Rahu and Ketu completes a second round in the zodiac belt in your natal chart. Jupiter also completes its third cycle in your life. So because of which, if you will come across someone who has achieved something very substantial, like someone who was operating in a very small business setup and suddenly he got some investment, he got some great business idea, and he turned his one small business setup into a cash cow venture in a multi-city franchisee business. So any of the big accomplishment attained at the age of 36 can also be attributed to the prominence of Saturn in someone's life. Like guys, I still remember at the time when I was learning the palmistry. So in the palmistry, the simplest way of timing aging the lines is fate line, which is also called as the destiny line or the Saturn line. So when it intersects your headline, now headline or mind line, which tells about your intelligence. So the age, the point where the Saturn line intersects someone's headline is called as the roughly the 36 years of age. That means because of your mind, you will take some important decision which will give a steep jump to your profession, to your career, which is the time when Saturn line intersects with the mind line in the hand in the palmistry, and same is the principle which gets applicable in the science of astrology as well. So this is something, guys, which I wanted to say as a brief overview, an idea about looking at the identification signs of judging the prominence of Saturn in someone's life. So for further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyawad.